Welcome back, ladies and gents. I hope that you have suitably recovered from last week, and we're here for round number 2 of the Zwift Racing League. It is the Park Perimeter Loop. So looking at the key points this week, we've got 3 laps for all categories, a total of 29.7 kilometres, 380.8 metres of elevation, so it's easier by half than last week. It's a points race and there's only one sprint segment. It's awarding fastest through the segment points and first across the line for the whole race. So that means first across the line on all 3 laps, and you get 3 shots at the fastest through the segment, and you can score points multiple times on the fastest through the segment. This week's power-ups are the Feather, great for putting in moves on the short punchy sections. The Ghost, which is largely useless unless you want to try and sneak away off the front. And the Anvil, which on a course like this often does more harm than good, since it's a wee bit rolly and you might end up with those extra kilos on an uphill section. Next up's the bike choice. This week you're going to be either looking for the Tron or a Specialized S-Works Avenge once again. This rolly course doesn't have a climb long enough to justify anything other than your best aero or best all-rounder that you have. So with that out of the way, let's get out on course and have a look at what we're dealing with. So when you come out of the pens, you're going to come and take a left onto the course proper. You're instantly going to be met with a false flat uphill that peaks at around 4%. But at this point we'll be flat out from the start anyway, so nothing to worry about here. Then it's more little rollers. We're going to go right and left, and it's into another little flat come false flat at minimal percentages, and we carry on up the straight. At around 1.3 kilometres the road is going to turn downhill and hit a maximum of -7%. You will get plenty of speed up here and probably enough to super tuck, but it might not be worth it because you risk losing the draft, and if you mistime it, then you don't want to be out of the draft on a course like this. You may never catch back on. And the road itself levels out around 2 kilometres, and we're going to do some small ups and downs for another 400 metres before we get to the next point, which comes just as the road separates here and we take the right hand track, and it's back to downhill once again, as high as -8%. Again, you will be able to super track here if you need to catch your breath, but it is only short because the road is going back upwards at around 2.8 kilometres once again. At this little fork in the road, we are going left this time, and it's into an uphill at around 3.2 kilometres of the race. This one is going to be hitting gradients of around 11% as we start this climb up towards the top of the hill. It's going to end at around 3.8 kilometres on your display into the race, and this is probably the best time to use the Feather if you're going to get a hold of one. As you see, we avoid using the sky roads, and as we come up here we are just about to hit the peak of this climb and the really heavy gradients, so make sure that you're well equipped. This is one of the best places on the course to make a move and try and get away from your competition. Now take advantage of the downhill and catch your breath after some of that big climbing effort. It doesn't last for long though, because as you come round these couple of corners here, you're going to find the road picking back up to around 5% once again, but it is going to flatten out once you reach around 4.8 kilometres into the race. The ups and downs and rolling terrain never really seems to stop on this New York course, so you need to be prepared for the constant rises and falls in the gradient over the next few kilometres. Little false flats, short sharp descents that keeps the pace high. Just try and sit in the draft and conserve as much as you can. So around 7 kilometres the road is going to turn upwards. We're going to go right at this junction, and you're going to see it hit around 5 or 6% for a couple of hundred metres before it starts going downhill again. This is going to lead us into the intermediate sprint point for today's course, and we're going to hit this after the short uphill section. Due to the sprint only being 150 metres long, it is going to be very fast and very quick, so make sure that you're building power on the uphill section of the course and get ready to go flat out on this one. The sprint's going to come at 7.3 kilometres on lap 1, 17.1 kilometres on lap 2 and 27 kilometres on lap 3. Now once you get through the sprint, it is more rolling terrain with gentle ups and downs, around 1 or 2%. So just try and recover after your efforts in the sprint and get ready. And around 8.6, 8.7 kilometres, you're going to hit this short peak. It gets to around 7% before easing back down to 2, around 8.8 kilometres, and then it's more rolling ground before a short downhill section which should arrive around 9.3 kilometres, and that will then lead us in to the finish of the lap. So this is only going to be a sprint on the last lap. For the other 2 laps of the race, you're going to just want to roll through, but on the last lap you're going to want to gain as much speed as you can with this downhill section, because you are going to be going uphill into the final sprint. As you see, it starts about 3%, but it picks up to as high as 9% with the finish banner in sight. So time your efforts well, time your power ups well, and push for the line and get to the finish. And that's us. So let's have a look at where this race is won and lost. So there's plenty of points on this course where the road goes up and people can lose the draft. But I think the main points, as always, is going to be right at the start, where we're going to pick off any of the weaker riders and any of the people that weren't paying attention at the start, weren't warmed up properly. Then I think the next one is going to be at around 3.2 kilometres into the lap, because when the climb gets to around 11%, it lasts for almost 600 metres. If people have used a power up appropriately, or people have just got the power in their legs to pull away, this is going to be a big opportunity for them. The last one I think is going to be the sprint section, because it's quite close to the end of the race, and I think certainly on the last lap at least, there will be somebody trying to attack over the top of the sprint and hold out for those last maybe couple of kilometres into the finish. So with that said, I hope you've all enjoyed this, and I will see you all next time.